Speed and Gwen's Deep Dive podcast is an official podcast made by Speed and Gwen with the voice made from Google's Notebook LM. Do not reproduce our podcast without permissions from the owner. Welcome to the Speed and Gwen's Deep Dive podcast. You know, when you usually think about online gaming scams, there's this incredibly persistent image most of us have in our heads.
Yeah, it's usually like some teenager sitting in a messy bedroom.
Right, just aggressively guessing passwords so they can, I don't know, steal a virtual glowing sword from another kid. It feels small. It feels like localized playground politics.
Exactly. It feels like an almost innocent type of mischief, the kind of thing that, gets sorted out with a grounded weekend, a changed password, and maybe a stern talking to from a parent.
Right. But then you open up the actual data on what is happening right now today on platforms like Roblox, and suddenly that digital playground is just, it's gone.
Oh, completely gone. We are looking at a landscape that is terrifyingly sophisticated.
Yeah, so for anyone who thinks online gaming crime is just kids swiping digital items, today's deep dive is going to completely shatter that illusion because we're bringing the receipts today. We've got legal analysis from YouTuber Law by Mike, cybersecurity threat reports from Malwarebytes, internet crime data from the FBI's IC3, and this massive Latin American child protection study from LACNI.
It's a heavy stack of research, for sure.
It is, and it shows that we are talking about highly organized transnational hacker rings, FBI wire fraud investigations, and, honestly, psychological manipulation hiding in plain sight.
We have really transitioned from digital mischief to this digital Wild West, but one that operates with the cold, calculated efficiency of a Fortune 500 company.
Yeah, and to really grasp the severity of what we're going to explore, you first have to understand the size of the vault these criminals are trying to break into.
The scale is massive.
Right. Roblox isn't just a game you download anymore. It's a massive, self-sustaining virtual economy. I mean, they have 78 million daily active users.
That's a population larger than the entire United Kingdom.
Logging in every single day. And the critical demographic detail here is that over half of those users are under the age of 16.
And that right there is the core vulnerability. You have an audience that is inherently trusting, right? They often lack that digital skepticism that adults develop after years of navigating the internet.
Yeah, they haven't been burned by a spam email yet.
Exactly. And the scammers are fully aware of this. They aren't just sitting at a keyboard typing password 123 hoping to get lucky. The technical ingenuity of these scams is staggering.
Like the security alert scam.
Right. We've all seen clumsy phishing emails with bad spelling, but these threat actors, they're deploying perfect replicas of official Roblox warning messages.
The level of detail is what really catches people off guard, I think. Like, they use the exact same hex codes for the logo colors.
The exact same typography, too.
Yeah, and they even spoof the sender address so it looks totally legitimate at first glance.
So the email basically tells the user their account has been flagged, right, for unauthorized login attempts from a foreign country. And it provides a very helpful, very urgent, secure account button.
And because it's framed as a security warning, the victim's panic overrides their logic.
Completely. They click the button, enter their credentials on a fake login page that mirrors the real one, and the scammers they're immediately in.
And then it's game over.
Yeah, they change the password, swap the recovery email, alter the security settings, and basically lock the actual owner out in seconds.
But that's just the baseline, right? I mean, it gets crazier. Because they've also weaponized institutional trust using what cybersecurity researchers call poison PDFs.
Oh, this is where the tactics become highly advanced.
Yeah.
Scammers will actually target and exploit highly trusted public domains. We are talking about .edu sites for universities or .gov sites for government agencies.
Which is wild.
Right. They find vulnerabilities in these servers and upload malicious PDF files.
Wait, hold on. Why go through all the trouble of hacking a university server just to host a PDF for a video game scam? Like, what's the point?
Well, it all comes down to how search engines work.
Yeah.
Think of Google's algorithm like a bouncer at an exclusive club, right?
Okay.
And a .edu or .gov domain is a VIP badge.
Ah, got it.
The bouncer assumes anyone with that badge inherently belongs there. They have high domain authority.
Yeah.
So when a scammer slips a malicious PDF onto a university server, Google's algorithm blindly hands it a VIP pass straight to the top of the search results.
So a kid searches Google for, like, a free Robux generator or a game hack, and the top result is a PDF hosted on a legitimate, trusted university website.
Precisely. So the browser's security filters don't block it.
And the parents monitoring the web traffic assume it's safe because of the domain.
Yep. The kid clicks the link inside the PDF and gets hit with malware disguised as a game enhancement tool.
They are literally using the credibility of our educational and government institutions to bypass both technical firewalls and human skepticism.
They really are. But, they don't just target children. Our research highlights a method called the HHAR file scam.
Oh, this one is fascinating.
Yeah, it represents a brilliant, albeit malicious, pivot in their strategy. Because this specifically targets the professionals making a living on the platform. The graphic artists, the developers, the 3D modelers.
Right, so a scammer will approach an artist pretending to be a high-paying client wanting to commission some work.
They strike up a conversation, negotiate a price.
And then the client says, hey, I need you to send me a DIHA file from your web browser so I can make sure your avatar renders correctly in my game. And artists are incredibly used to sharing diagnostic files or asset files, so they often just comply without thinking.
But I love this analogy you brought up before for what is actually happening.
Oh, yeah. It's like someone asking to see the blueprints to your house to help you redecorate, but hidden deep within the paper is the master key to your front door.
That is a perfect way to visualize it. The HAR file is essentially a comprehensive browser log. It records all the interactions between your browser and the website you are on. And critically, it contains something called an active session token.
Wait, but let me push back on this for a second. If my bank has two-factor authentication, a hacker can't get in without my actual physical phone to receive that 6-digit text message. Doesn't Roblox's 2FA just block them at the door even if they have some file?
You'd think so, but this is exactly why the .har file scam and its cousin, the malicious JavaScript code scam, are so devastating.
Okay.
If a hacker steals your password, 2FA does stop them. But a session token isn't a password. Think of it like a club stamp on your hand.
Right.
You showed your ID, your password, and your 2FA code at the door when you first logged in. The bouncer verified you and gave you an invisible digital stamp on your browser so you can navigate around the site without having to log in every time you click a new page.
And that stamp is your session token.
Exactly.
So by extracting that HAR file, they aren't stealing my ID. They're perfectly copying the stamp from my hand onto theirs.
Yes. When they extract that token or trick a victim into pasting malicious JavaScript into their browser console to reveal it, the hackers completely bypass two-factor authentication.
Wow.
The system sees the token and assumes the hacker is already you, sitting safely at your authorized computer. They can then silently drain the account of limited items, transfer Robux, and steal assets.
And you don't even get an alert.
Not a single security alert to your email or phone.
So bypassing 2FA takes intense sophistication. This isn't just one kid in a basement. If we look at the cybersecurity threat reports from Malwarebytes, we move from the clever methods to the sheer industrial scale of the organizations running them.
It's organized crime.
It really is. They've built an entire corporate supply chain around stealing digital hats from middle schoolers. Let's look at the bust in Lviv. The Ukrainian police recently arrested 3 individuals who were running an absolute factory of account theft.
The operational metrics in that bust are they're staggering. Between October 2025 and January 2026, which is a window of just a few months, this specific syndicate compromised over 610,000 Roblox accounts.
Over 500,000 accounts in a single season. But how do you even process that much stolen data? You can't have a human manually logging into 610,000 accounts to see if they have anything worth stealing.
You don't. You automate it.
Right.
They use custom scripts to automatically parse the inventories of every compromised account in seconds. The script scans for limited edition items, high Robux balances, and developer privileges.
It does all the heavy lifting.
Yep, out of those 610,000, the scripts automatically identified and isolated at least 357 high-value elite accounts.
And then they just act as digital fences. I mean, they made around $225,000 just by selling access to these specific elite accounts on Russian dark web forums and enclosed Telegram communities.
And they achieved this massive initial breach by disguising sophisticated info-sealing malware as simple game enhancement tools, like FPS unlockers or custom shading tools that kids desperately want.
It's a highly lucrative global supply chain of stolen digital identities.
It is. And when we pull back the lens to look at the macroeconomic impact, the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, the IC3, provides some critical context.
Right, the numbers are huge.
From 2020 to 2024, they reported over $50 billion lost to Internet crimes.
$50 billion.
Yeah. And while that encompasses all forms of cybercrime, the gaming sector is rapidly becoming a massive slice of that pie because these digital assets now have real-world liquidity.
You can actually cash them out.
Exactly. You can exchange stolen Robux or rare items for Bitcoin or fiat currency on third-party black markets with relative ease.
Which brings up the harsh reality of being a victim in this ecosystem. Like, if someone steals my physical credit card and buys a TV, my bank reverses the charge because of fraud protection laws.
Right.
But the platform support pages offer a much colder reality. Roblox explicitly states in their terms that they have no obligation to restore compromised accounts or stolen items unless specifically required by law.
They don't have to help you.
And if you want to even submit a ticket asking for help recovering lost items, you have a strict 30-day window from the time of the compromise. After 30 days, the virtual items are permanently gone, integrated into the black market economy.
This is why the immediate incident response from the user is so critical. If you or your child suspects a compromise, simply changing the password is not enough.
Because of the session token theft, right?
Exactly. If they have your token, changing the password doesn't kick them out. You have to immediately run an anti-malware scan, delete any suspicious browser extensions, and critically, go deep into the security settings and click log out of all other sessions.
That kills the cookies.
Yes, that is the only technical way to kill those stolen cookies. You have to forcibly wash off that club stamp.
Okay, so bypassing 2FA with malware takes intense technical skill, and operating a syndicate out of Ukraine requires serious logistical organization. But what is truly wild is that another group of scammers realize they don't need to hack a computer at all if they can just hack a child's psychology.
We're moving straight from the shadows of the dark web into the broad daylight of YouTube.
Yeah, we're moving from malware to social engineering.
They are completely weaponizing the parasocial relationships that young viewers form with content creators.
Right, so we have a breakdown of the legal landscape surrounding this from YouTuber Law by Mike, who exposed a massive, highly visible network of these channels.
It's not just one or two small channels either.
No. We are talking about YouTube channels with well over 100,000 subscribers. Their entire business model is running a pre-recorded Roblox live stream on a continuous 24/7 loop.
And the streamer in the pre-recorded video is constantly hyping up the chat, screaming with excitement, and begging viewers to send paid super chats.
Which cost actual real-world money.
Right. And they tell the viewer to send these gifts so they can skip the queue to win a massive free Robux giveaway.
The psychological manipulation here is just intense. The viewer believes they're interacting with a celebrity they admire in real time. They are being manipulated into paying actual fiat currency for the mere chance to win virtual currency that doesn't even exist.
It's exactly like stepping up to a rigged digital carnival game.
But the twist here is that the operator isn't even in the booth. They just left a cardboard cutout of themselves with a speaker attached, asking for cash.
And Law by Mike proved the fraud perfectly.
Yeah, he went into one of these massive so-called live streams and donated $2 of his own money through the platform. And the streamer on screen, who was supposedly interacting with the live chat, just kept right on talking about something entirely unrelated.
There was absolute silence regarding the donation. Because the streamer wasn't there. It was a video file on a loop.
Now, scammers operating in this space often try to brush off the severity of their actions. They claim, oh, it's just a kid's game, we're not hacking anyone, we just broke YouTube's terms of service for streaming.
But a rigorous legal analysis shatters that defense. This crosses a very distinct line into severe federal crime.
Yeah, the legal hammer on this is massive. This isn't a slap on the wrist or a demonetized channel. We are talking about prison time.
Specifically, under 18 U.S.C. Section 1343, this activity meets the exact criteria for wire fraud.
Wire fraud, wow.
Yeah, which is defined as intentionally using interstate internet or telecommunications infrastructure to carry out a scheme to defraud people out of money or property. Because these streams are broadcast across state and national lines to solicit funds under false pretenses, it carries a maximum penalty of up to 20 years in federal prison.
20 years for a looping YouTube video.
Exactly. And on top of that, the threshold for grand theft in many jurisdictions is surprisingly low. If these looping streams pull in over $950 collectively, which, when you have thousands of kids watching a 247 loop, happens incredibly fast, it immediately escalates from a misdemeanor to grand theft.
But the financial penalties are what truly ruin these operations, right? The FTC.
Yes. The Federal Trade Commission aggressively prioritizes deceptive practices that specifically target and harm children. They don't just shut you down, they bankrupt you. They can issue civil penalties of up to $53,088 per violation.
Wait, per violation, like per transaction?
That is per individual transaction. Every single time a child sends a $2 gift under the false promise of a giveaway, that is a potential $53,000 fine.
That is insane.
For prosecutors, the primary hurdle is just proving intent, proving that the streamers knew they weren't live, knew they were promising digital currency they wouldn't deliver, and deliberately caused viewers to lose money.
And frankly, setting up software to broadcast a pre-recorded video file on a loop while actively keeping a donation link open is practically a signed confession of intent.
It is a highly calculated grift.
It really is.
Mm.
But as devastating as the financial exploitation is, if we transition to the research provided by LACNI's through the Latin American and Caribbean Internet Addresses Registry, we uncover a reality that is far darker.
Yeah, this is where the deep dive transitions from financial loss to physical and psychological safety.
Because the exact same psychological levers being pulled to steal $10 from a kid's allowance are being repurposed for online grooming.
Right. The LACNIC report is a comprehensive, very sobering analysis of child protection in digital spaces. It details how the digitalization of social interactions in massive virtual worlds like Roblox, Fortnite, or Minecraft has created a highly immersive environment that predators actively exploit.
The immersive intensity of playing a game together makes it incredibly easy for a groomer to bypass a child's natural stranger danger instincts, right? And just build a trusted relationship.
And the report formally breaks down the groomer's playbook into 5 distinct calculated stages.
Okay, what are they?
Well, it begins with the friendship stage.
Yeah.
This involves avatar matching, playing the same mini-games, and finding shared interests within the virtual world to establish a baseline of trust.
Okay, that seems pretty standard for any online interaction.
Right, but then comes relationship forming, where the predator slowly begins gathering key personal information, asking about school, hobbies, or family dynamics.
And the third stage, risk assessment, is chilling when you understand how they execute it. They don't just ask, are your parents home? They ask it within the context of the game.
Exactly. They will say things like, hey, I need you to use voice chat for this mission. Is your computer in the living room or your bedroom?
Or, do your parents check your iPad because I found a secret cheat code I want to send you? They are actively mapping the child's physical environment and level of parental supervision.
And once they establish the child is isolated, they move to the exclusivity stage. This is the we are best friends, you understand me better than anyone, and this is our secret phase.
It isolates the child emotionally.
Yes. Finally, they transition to the sexual stage, where demands for illicit images or videos occur, often using the previous exclusivity and trust as leverage.
And the data on how they execute this in-game is wild. According to the authorities surveyed in the LACNIC report, 58.1% of these predators actively pretend to be minors themselves.
They create an avatar that looks like a kid, they use current slang in the text chat, and they feign interest in childish things.
But the statistic that really ties this entire ecosystem of digital crime together is that 32.3% of groomers use virtual gifts to manipulate their victims.
Which brings us right back to the virtual economies we started with.
Exactly. The very currency that the Ukrainian hackers are stealing via malware and the YouTube grifters are dangling as bait for wire fraud is being weaponized by predators as a grooming tool.
It creates leverage.
Right. They gift a kid stolen Robux or a rare virtual pet in a popular game, and it creates this immediate, powerful social contract. It creates a sense of debt.
The kid feels special because they were chosen to receive this valuable item, and they subconsciously feel like they owe this new friend something in return.
It is a terrifyingly effective corruption strategy because it uses the platform's core mechanics against the user.
It does. However, to provide a balanced perspective, we must also acknowledge what platforms are doing right to counter this. The LACN report actually highlights Roblox as a positive model in terms of structural defense mechanisms.
Oh, really? What are they doing?
Well, they've implemented aggressive default parental controls and age-verified chat filtering.
Right, right. So if a player's account is registered as under 12 years old, the chat filters are incredibly restrictive.
Very. The system automatically blocks the transmission of personal information, phone numbers, addresses, and inappropriate content.
And if the account is registered as over 13, the filters loosen up slightly to allow more natural conversation, but still maintain baseline protections.
And the fact that these are default settings is crucial. But the structural defense leads to a vital question. How do we educate the users themselves to recognize the threat before the filter even needs to catch it?
Well, this is where the concept of gamification in education comes in. The LACNE report details a fascinating initiative by the Colombian police called the CAI Virtual.
It's essentially a video game specifically designed to teach kids how to spot groomers.
Right. It drops them into simulated chat scenarios and asks them to identify the predator's manipulative language. But looking at this, I have to genuinely ask, can a stylized video game actually teach a 10-year-old to spot a predator better than an engaged parent sitting next to them?
That is a highly valid skepticism.
Doesn't relying on a video game to teach digital safety feel a bit like relying on the disease to be the cure?
I get that. A gamified simulation can never replace the nuanced contextual guidance of an engaged parent.
Right.
However, behavioral science dictates a harsh reality regarding user behavior. People, including well-meaning parents, stick to default settings. Parents are tired, they are busy, and they often don't dig into the 3 separate submenus required to properly lock down a gaming account.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So while active parental oversight is the gold standard, it frequently fails in practice.
So the gamified education isn't meant to replace the parent. It's designed to fill the inevitable gap when the parent isn't looking.
Precisely. Gamified education speaks to the child fluently in their own native digital language. When you combine that engaging educational layer with advanced AI content moderation systems that can rapidly analyze not just text chat, but voice, audio, and even erratic avatar movements, and you enforce default age-based restrictions, you create a robust layered defense system.
You aren't relying on a single point of failure, whether that failure is a distracted parent or a naive child.
Exactly.
So to bring this all together for you, because we have covered massive ground today, we started by looking at the sheer scale of these platforms. With 78 million daily users, it functions as a highly populated, target-rich environment.
We saw how trust is exploited on a purely technical level.
Yeah, through JavaScript session stealers, poison PDS leveraging domain authority, and the industrial scale of transnational hacker rings operating out of Eastern Europe.
We then explored how that exact same exploitation of trust manifests through social engineering via pre-recorded YouTube wire fraud schemes manipulating parasocial bonds.
And finally, we saw how the darkest elements of society use those exact same tools, fake identities, spoofed authority, and virtual currency for the gamification of grooming.
The connecting thread through every single one of these threats is the calculated exploitation of human trust in virtual spaces.
Whether they want your session token, your credit card data, or your child's physical safety, the vulnerability they attack is always human trust.
And if we look to the horizon, this raises a final, deeply concerning question for the future of these platforms.
What's that?
Well, everything we have discussed today, the phishing, the live stream grifts, the grooming, relies on a human typing on a keyboard somewhere in the world, right?
Right. A human hacker, a human grifter, a human predator.
But as artificial intelligence rapidly advances, the barrier to entry for this kind of manipulation is dropping to 0. And AI could easily be trained to fully automate those fake YouTube live streams, generating highly realistic, real-time audio and visual responses to real-world donations.
Oh,
More terrifyingly, a large language model could be prompted to perfectly execute the 5 stages of grooming. It could converse simultaneously with thousands of children 24 hours a day, adapting its emotional manipulation in real time without ever getting tired.
that is a profoundly dystopian thought. If the predators are automated by AI and the platform's defenses are run by AI content moderators, we are heading toward a future where we might literally need our own AI bodyguards.
Exactly.
Like an AI assistant sitting on your child's device analyzing the chat in real time just to verify if the avatar they're playing with is actually a human being or malicious algorithm. You have 2 AIs fighting a proxy war over a kid's digital safety.
It really forces us to question the very nature of trust in a digital environment, when empathy and engagement can be perfectly simulated.
It really makes you realize that the days of online gaming, just being kids trying to steal each other's virtual glowing swords, are long, long gone. The playground has been completely paved over, and it's an entirely different, incredibly complex world now. See you again in the next episode of this podcast.